About that time. It's week 8 is upon us. And it's time for power rankings going into there. I'm joined by Jarv
Hello?
and Kowtow.
Hey.
Some of you are out. Some of you have things to fight for. And some of you are waiting for playoffs to start. And the rest are waiting for next season. So with that being said, Jarv, take us away to the Sydney Sylveons.
Hello, campers! The Sydney Sylveons are our first team at the bottom, 0-7, going to be relegcated to Neon. Kowtow, I'll kind of hand it off to you first on Sydney, if that's okay. We've talked to Sydney a bunch about this season. I don't think we need to harp on it too much. But Sydney is gunning for the record books, potentially. I believe if they, soaring, an 0-4 loss puts them in the record books?
Yes. If they lose 4 or bigger, they're in the books. So if they want to keep it within 3.
What are your thoughts, Kowtow?
Yeah, just not the season you wanted to have, obviously, but at least it didn't go out with a whimper. It was cool to see that the lock-in did come eventually. It was a really close match against the Infernapes. Probably just some rolls away from winning that fight. Actually, you played pretty well, playing your Volcarona about as effectively as possible. Just some mental stuff that kind of tripped you up towards the end, but nothing you can't grow from. And hopefully, we'll get to see a lot more from you in Neon, which seems to be your most comfortable zone. So, kind of a disappointing send off going into the end of the season here, but hopefully we'll see more of you coming out of Neon next season.
And maybe a testament to the strength of Crystal overall. You know, I think everyone should have seen I put out the rankings on strength of schedule. Sydney was near the top across all of PBO. A lot of kind of tough games, obviously several blowouts because of the -24. But I think when we went into the season, we weren't really sure what the level of play was going to be like from Crystal. Sydney, who's been around for a while. Yeah, so, you know, in the one sense, like, tough on Sydney, but on the other, truly a testament to how successful this season's been and the quality of play coming from everyone else. So in our next slot, we have a number of teams who are potentially in spitting distance of the other relegation slot. So for anyone new, kind of, there are 14 teams. The bottom 2 teams are relegated to Neon. Right now, we have 4 teams that are tied at 2 and 5. So going into week 8, whichever team has the worst differential at 2 and 6, they will be relegated. Our first team, the team that's in that slot now, is the Snowpoint City Snowvers. It's Lavs. Kowtow, you and I were pretty high on Lavs at the beginning of the season. And they've had a pretty tough go of it. Since we checked in last, they got 6-0'd by Caleb, the New York Nickits, right? One of our top teams. And then in weeks, I don't remember if we had recorded this, the last power rankings prior to week 6 or after. But they lost to Gotham City, who started off the season struggling and has gone on a tear since picking up the Rain team. Again, I think it's a testament to the strength of the rest of Crystal. You know, Lavs has put on some good performances. They've got one more matchup at the end of the season. They will be playing against one of our other 2 and 5 teams. So a fantastic opportunity for us to see kind of a last hurrah with these 2 teams to see if they can avoid relegation. Catch up?
Yeah, kind of the most pains me to see it kind of results for this season so far. Hopefully it won't end out on a sour note. It's definitely an opportunity to end it on a positive one. And if I'm not mistaken, this is guaranteed I guess it's not guaranteed that you relegate at this point, especially if you pick up the win week 8. But at least going into the final game of the season just hasn't been anywhere close to what you would have expected to have seen. The team structure has been really good. It's just been hard to see just some of the mismatches and structures going into each game in and game out. The week 7 was pretty rough. Kind of just got overwhelmed and your opponent really never looked back, especially with that finish towards the end. So not really kind of a hard pill to swallow for this season, but definitely nothing you can't shake off and learn from. Figure out what didn't work, what does work, what you like and what you didn't like, and then kind of develop your playstyle from there.
Look, who among us has not been Sylveon? I think the tail for the last few weeks for Labs has been kind of just the one Mon that's gone unchecked that's done enough damage to their team structure that they haven't been able to come back. Just going back through their results, it's been the Sylveon, it's been the Barraskewda, and it's been I know the Jirachi got 3 kills in week 5. But I believe the Porygon Z was able to put in a lot of work that really softened up the team structure for the Jirachi. Tough. I think going into next season or kind of whatever you do after, identifying in prep kind of what is the one Mon that I'm not going to let beat me. That's something that I personally struggle with as well. Again, you win and you stay in Crystal, and you lose, you drop down to Neon. Lots to look forward to for week 8. We'll be cheering you on. Our number 12 team is going to be the Long Island Tyranitars. I believe this was a team that we had a bit of hype over in the week 6. They had a path to potentially compete for that 8th spot in playoffs, and unfortunately, they were not able to pull out a win in week 6 against Erie, which, super tough match against the top team. And then week 7, in kind of a classic, pulls off an upset against Gotham City, not really letting off any amount of pressure on Gotham. And so now we go into week 8. Unfortunately, probably don't have the wins to make playoffs. I gotta hold on. I gotta stare at this for a few more seconds, because I think there is like a remote possibility that both of the 3 and 4 teams that are currently in playoffs could both lose, and a 2 and 5 team that wins could make it at 3 and 5. I don't count your chickens, but chances are Long Island is probably out of playoffs. But they've shown a lot of great resolve in the last week or so, being able to pull it back. That's what we want to see. We want to see life from the teams even at the bottom of the table, because you could lose games for any number of reasons, but kind of bring something new or bring something inspirational, I think, is one of the testaments and one of the reasons why we watch.
Yeah, I think one of the cool things to see with this team going into the latter half of the season, we did realize that this is on the eye test. This is probably one of the harder schedules in the entire division. Not really catching a break anywhere, quite literally.
Wait, I've got data for that.
You've been able to kind of show creativity in the stuff that you brought, and you've been able to see kind of what has worked and what hasn't. You brought some interesting stuff like bulky, I believe it's a bulky or Shifu. You brought some interesting sets. I think the Shaman was probably the right thing to bring into the Gotham game. Probably is what ended up winning you that bout, being able to kind of stall the rest of his team and be able to just find the perfect time to capitalize on that. So it was good play on there. Just kind of a season of experimentation for this team. And I'm curious what we'll see out of this team going into the last week and the seasons to come, especially because when you have somebody who kind of experiments like this, you just know that they're going to be looking pretty good going forward.
And Long Island did use all of their transactions. They're clearly trying to figure out like how do I make this team feel good? So maybe your priority going into your next draft is going to be how do I find a team that like I really want to use, that like really excites me or that I have a comfort with. I know there was a lot of like Galarian Slowbro that was brought to games. I'm not sure if that was out of a feeling of necessity, if that was kind of the type of mon that you want to play with. But it felt like in some of these matchups that it was kind of like an outgunned and outmatched. Like we saw in the Gotham game that you wanted to play slower, but then you kind of can't play slower against Erie because their team has just mons that play slower better. So yeah, figuring out draft plan, going in, identifying what kind of team do I want to have. Again, that's something that I'm struggling with, and I'm trying to figure out along the way as well. Last match for Long Island is against Aiden. So this is actually a pretty big one because you could knock a team out by beating them in week 8, coming off of a win. If you end the season on a 2-0, that would be exciting. We've had some classic spoilers in PBO history, and would love to have your name on the board as well. Our number 11 team, and if you can't tell by now, we're generally going off the rankings or the league standings for these. I think that there have been a handful of forfeits, but generally the power rank or the standings reflect where I think we would think where the power rankings would be. Maybe we have another discussion going into playoffs once we see matchups, because so many of like these games are matchup fishes. But just for transparency, our number 11 team is the Pittsburgh Scizors. Pittsburgh, we talked about them when we did our last power rankings, and we said that this was going to be pretty tough with week 6 against Kowtow. And then they had to get a win against Norwalk in week 7. Unfortunately, weren't able to. Norwalk, a playoff team, we think, probably. And then this final week, we have them going up against Gotham. Similar kind of situation as Long Island, where if Pittsburgh loses, they could be relegated, depending on where some shuffling goes with the teams below them. And then if they beat Gotham, that could potentially knock a team out of playoffs. So another opportunity for a team to either avoid relegation with a win or play spoiler as well. Kowtow, any thoughts on Pittsburgh? You played them recently.
Yeah, just I think one of the struggles, especially throughout the latter half of the season, the speed was really a deciding factor for most of your matches, including the 6-0 against Glasgow. Having the stronger bond with the faster speed stat, what do you know? It works out pretty well, especially when they have a great type matchup and overall just applying a lot of pressure when they normally might be on the back foot. Really helps out. And then when we've harped on this subject quite a bit, but just when the majority of the team is just it's not up to speed enough to force some of the faster guys in the format to really force more speed EVs, speed natures. They can invest in those adamants, those modest. They can really take advantage of those higher damage rolls that you wouldn't necessarily account for if you had more speed checks. It just makes the art of taking a balanced team and just gives them more trouble to work with. And it puts more pressure on your defensive checks. And I think that's some of the key weaknesses that we've seen going into the second half of the season. My matchup, Norwalk was able to expose that a good bit. So just a rough end of the schedule for you here. I think the Gotham matchup is actually going to be quite interesting. I think the snow matchup kind of favors you a little bit going into the rain, especially with your Prim to kind of hold everything together, hold the line, so to speak. So we'll see if Toto can pull out the upset win going into the end of the season here.
I want to say that this is the 2-5 team that has the greatest chance at making playoffs. you're only 6 back in terms of differential from Gotham. So if you 3-0 or 4-0, I think you may make playoffs. So I know I'll be watching that one. Hopefully we're all going to be there to cast as well. Soaring, are there any kind of stories or when you think about, okay, you have to get like a big win to get into playoffs, does that make you think of anyone from seasons past?
Seasons past, I can't tell you it was specific, but I think it was last season or season before. Might have been last season. The Tottenham Hoot Hoots. I always consider them, they always somehow make it in. Every season, he'll be 2-4, -16. It's like he can't make it. And then somehow he just wins close, wins out, and he'll end up 4-4 -10, 4-4 -8. Rex last season made in 3-5 +1 into playoffs, so you never really know. And if Pittsburgh made it at 3-5 with negative diff, that would be, call it how you see it, that would be the worst record with the worst diff we've had to make playoffs. Worcester goes 4-4 a lot, sometimes at 5-3. But Tottenham comes to mind when I think of sneaking in into a playoff.
Yeah, a couple things would have to go right.
Pittsburgh hasn't made playoffs since season 3, 4, so it's been a while since for Pittsburgh.
There's a chance. This is actually like a pretty decent chance. Yeah, this could be a really exciting matchup. Hope to see you prep for it. Our number 10 team, which actually has a better differential than Pittsburgh, but it's kind of out of their hands because they're not playing a playoff team. But it's the Carvanha Dealership. Just took a forfeit in week 7. But Walt played. Who did they play week 6? Walt played
Glasgow week 6.
Glasgow week 6. So Glasgow's kind of been on a tear. But somewhat similar situation to Pittsburgh, where if you win, you have a shot. Carvanha is playing. What do I have?
Snowpoint week 8.
Snowpoint week 8. Why don't I have this on my board of playoff matches? Anyway.
Labs.
We spoke about this a little bit earlier with the Labs breakdown, but lose and you could be in relegation zone. Win and you could be in playoffs. I had a lot of hope for this team at the beginning because I love the unorthodox team structure. Difficult to steer, and I think that's kind of been a testament for Walt. This has seemed like a situation where Walt hasn't felt comfortable, and like they pick up the King Gambit sweep win, and that's like while the transaction is going through for the King Gambit to get dropped. So kind of maybe a little unfortunate. Could have carried that momentum if you continued playing around the Terra King Gambit. Nothing to lose. Play your heart out for the last week, and we'll hope to see you next season. Kowtow? Any commentary on Walt? I don't know if you've played Walt.
No, just tough to see that couldn't really take your own destiny into your own control for the week 7 matchup. Would have been interesting to see the potential matchup for Erie, because it's just kind of an unknown with this team. This season has just been kind of an unknown because you never had a loss that was greater than a 3-0. You haven't lost by any large amount by any stretch. So there could have been some matches that might have been just a little bit more lopsided than the score reflects, but at least on your standings, you haven't really been knocked down that far. It's just been maybe just a turn here or there that's kind of either rolled your way or not. Kind of in the instance of like Heartflame there towards the beginning of the season. But we've seen your ability to knock off some of our higher rated teams. We've seen the ability to do it, and you hung in there with Caleb for a good while, the New York Nickits. Just couldn't pull out the result, unfortunately, but maybe there was some potential in there for maybe another universe this season goes just a different way. But the results are what they are at this point, so not much to harp about there. There's just not too much to go off of. But going into the last week, it's really just fighting for your ability to stay in this division at this point.
Well, man to man right here, you picked up that Drago. You haven't brought it to a game, and I know that was to spite me just dogging on your Terror King Gambit. I know your game, Walt. I know your game. And also, nice reverse sweep against Long Island week 2. I remember that one. Shouts out Hearthflame.
A weird season from Walt.
I'm not going to forget
The
you.
Orgerpon is number 2 on kill leaderboard.
Yeah, it got 6 kills from that one game. Or 4 or 5, I can't remember what it was, but it reversed that Long Island game.
Yeah. All right, our number 9 team, playing against a playoff team. I don't know if it's a win and you're in, but it's pretty close. I think if any of the 6 through 8 teams lose and you win, I believe you have a shot. So the number 9 team is Ty. We counted Ty out, I believe, in our last power rankings. Ty was in the relegation spot next to Sydney, and they have not lost since then. They've climbed up to 3 and 4, but the thing really dragging them down in terms of their playoff chances is the -10 differential. Ty's been playing great. I've been really I should say shocked and surprised, but I've been kind of pleasantly surprised to see what Ty's been able to put together. Obviously a little bit easier, playing against Sydney, and then Walt has been, like we said, having an awkward season. But a great opportunity against the Norwalk Noiverns for the final week to get in, and then I believe if it's a big enough differential, it could knock Norwalk out. I don't know. Crystal ball run heating up. Cat's out. What do you think?
Yeah, I want to set the record straight because one of us said he was basically out. The other said this has all the potential in the world to make a comeback in the second half of the season.
Was I the hopeful one, or were you the hopeful one?
Yeah,
I think I remember what Countdown said.
This one had all the potential because the rest of the schedule was more open-ended, and they proved that they could pull their weight, they could pull their punches. This team got kind of socked in the mouth early on in the season, and they've kind of gotten right back up, and they spit out their teeth, and now they're maybe a little toothless right now, but they're smiling nonetheless, and they're looking at Norwalk and saying, I am hungry, and I am hungry for some Noivern. So going into this last week, it's really kind of one of the bigger games as far as if this comes down to Norwalk winning, it's just going to be really hard to see. I think it's impossible to get into playoffs if the ball is dropped. But taking matters into your own hands and taking the victory over Norwalk, that's going to put you in a prime spot to be right on the bubble there. And I think you have a really good chance of getting in there. So it's going to be really interesting to see. This is probably one of my more anticipated matchups going into week 8. So can't wait to see what becomes of that.
Great rebound from 0-6 week 5. I think it's sometimes it's hard to emotionally rebound from a big loss, and you've done it spectacularly. Maybe our game of the week. At number 8, so this is the first team that is currently in playoffs. It's Gotham. Gotham was on a tear and then decided to drop the rain last week and took a loss. So now that places them on the bubble. I want to say we had Gotham a slot or 2 higher during our last set of power rankings. I think it may have definitely killed the momentum a little bit, trying to play slower, but I would fully expect Gotham to lean back into the rain going down this final week, especially because they'll be playing Pittsburgh, going for a little bit of a weather war. I don't believe I don't believe it is possible for you to get a top 4 spot where you'd be able to choose your playoff opponent, but definitely an opportunity to A, secure your position within playoffs with a win. I don't think it's assured that if you lose, you're out, but it's pretty close. There are a lot of teams right on your tail. But I think you make sure you win, make sure you get in, but also kind of demonstrate to the teams up top, like, hey, don't pick me. I'm dangerous. Kowtow, you are expected to be able to pick either first or second, depending on how this final week goes. What do you think of Gotham as a potential team that you would have to pick for your playoff opponent first round?
I won't really say much on that. I'd rather more talk about the Pittsburgh matchup going into this game. I touched on it just a little bit while we were talking about Pittsburgh, but I think it is going to be very interesting to see how this team utilizes its pieces to put themselves in the position to maintain that playoff spot. Especially if we can see the Metagross being utilized, if we can see Forge just has brought what kind of Terra type we'll see out of the Terra captains. I think there's wide variety here. And just the general rain versus snow matchup, I think, is going to be interesting because depending on who survives between the Pelipper or the Ninetales or whatever snow setter that, if Pittsburgh even brings one at all, it's going to be very interesting to see what kind of results pick up from this.
All right. Our next team is currently in the 7th spot, also 3 and 4, is the Scottish Scouts. God, I cannot speak today. The Scottish Stoutlands, Lyrics. Lyrics is just below on just below 0 in differential. So they're not safe if they lose, but I think it's quite likely that they'll be in if they just have even a narrow loss. Their last 2 weeks, Lyrics played against Caleb, and Caleb was able to come out with a win. And then Lyrics had a pretty significant loss against Adelaide, who, after being on a tear at the beginning of the season, has kind of been off and on again. Final week matchup for Lyrics is going to be against Sydney. So we touched on this a little bit earlier, but win and you're in, lose, potentially you're out. If you can give Sydney a big loss, then that puts them in the record books. I think Lyrics, who, I've talked to Lyrics about his team several times this season, doesn't like to make trades, has a few mons that, he likes on his team. Lyrics has been trying to figure out how to optimize the use of the Darkrai. I think, Kowtow, do you want to talk about this matchup with Sydney at all, or do you want to talk about playoffs for Lyrics?
I think this is, as far as the matchup goes, it's just take care of business.
Yeah.
Just keep it simple. There's not much really to expand outside of you have the pieces that you need to really do the job against Sydney, and we've seen the play that's come out as both of these teams, and I think the dangerous thing is if Lyrics just starts overthinking it, because if you overthink against this team, there's some dangerous consequences that can take place there. So it's going to be up to Lyrics to kind of keep everything in front of him and kind of railroad himself into playoffs at this point.
All right, so you don't want to touch on Lyrics going into playoffs, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, it's going to be, no matter who Lyrics' first round matchup is going to be. If we see him in playoffs, it's going to be a tough deal for the opponent, because a lot of the teams that are making playoffs at this point, Lyrics has already played. So he does have intel on the sets that they like to bring, what they like to do. So Lyrics is kind of the second chance type of guy. So we'll see what can transpire out of that.
Soaring, any thoughts on lyrics?
Let me just get the record straight here since I have the leaderboard. Oh, well, okay. He's lost to the 6th ranked team. He's lost to Icirrus City, Columbus, New York, and Adelaide. All those teams are in the top 6. And the only one he's beaten is Norwalk, who is the 5th. So I think it's a hard schedule. But I think when it comes to the harder teams, cuts it a bit close. And when it comes to the lower ranked teams, such as Glasgow and Long Island, he has his footing. So I think around, what is this, the 7th spot you'll have him at, right?
Yeah.
7th spot? I think this is perfect for him. And this make or break game right here, just like Kato said, just win. Just win. And that's all.
Yeah.
That's all you can say. Just win.
Similar deal for our number 6 team, the Icirrus City Infernapes. Aiden, our preseason number 1, has had some stumbles, 4-3, but with a negative differential. Technically, they're not safe, even though they're in the 6th spot.
Nope.
If Aiden were to lose this week, and they're playing against Long Island, so someone who we have seen good games out of, I don't. It depends on Todd. It depends on if Glasgow can pick up a decent sized win and how big of potentially a loss it would be for Aiden. But there is a world where Aiden gets knocked out. There is also a chance that Aiden gets a top 4 seed. So a lot to play for. We've seen kind of ups and downs with Aiden this season. Some of the Mons on their teams have done really well in other divisions. I'm thinking about the Quaquaval. Dragapult is someone, top pick. Still maybe haven't seen everything that we would have wanted to see so far from the Polt and from the Quack, but threatening. Was able to scrape out 1-0 win against Sydney in week 6. I think we talked about that in the Sydney section, where there was a chance if there was a little bit different of a role, maybe a little bit more luck on Sydney's side, maybe that would have been different, and that would have been kind of brutal. But time to close out a win in the final week, going into playoffs with some momentum. Kato, any thoughts? You just played them week 7.
Yeah, just bring a real team and you'll be able to win week 8. It's pretty simple. I think it's still a good team on paper going into your last week, so it'll be interesting to see what kind of preparation goes into this. So there's not much for me. Not much from me about this last week for Aiden. In playoffs, I think this team is still as threatening as ever, especially since all 3 of his losses, just in a similar vein to Lyrics, at this point have all come to playoffs teams. So he'll be itching to reveal his cards up his sleeves once he gets into playoffs for sure.
As we go through kind of all of these teams in the bottom half of the expected playoff table, a lot of them might be like matchup fishes. Like, they're all strong coaches. They've all played against like the top teams. Some have had big losses. Some of them had close losses, and then a few kind of wins have been traded amongst this group. Really exciting. I think when we started this, there was an expectation that it would take a little bit of time for Crystal to shape up to be a division that would have these narratives, would have good competition, would be able to reflect something like the Sunset Thunderdome. We have this like big, gooey, messy, fun middle that's been really exciting to watch. We kind of don't know what to see week to week. I don't think that has stopped being true as we enter the final weeks of the regular season. Our number 5 team is the Norwalk Noiverns, the one that I can't pronounce. Our first team with a positive differential, which obviously this division has been a bloodbath. We've got these 3 teams up on top who have 20 plus wins on them, and then you have Norwalk and Adelaide, who are pushing through, and they're slowly kind of picking up positive differential and picking up wins. In week 6, Norwalk, I believe, was that a defeat on Adelaide? Or was that a forfeit win?
I believe that was a forfeit win against Adelaide.
Forfeit, yes.
I thought it was a forfeit win as well. So we didn't get to see them. I know we were really excited to see that matchup. Again, 2 of our top teams facing it off, but I guess we might have to wait till playoffs. And then week 7, they took care of business against Pittsburgh. Final week for Norwalk. I think it's going to be a similar conversation of take care of business, a matchup against our number 9 team, Glasgow. Glasgow has everything to play for. I would expect, I think in most scenarios, Norwalk is going to make playoffs even with a loss. But take care of business, go into the playoffs with momentum. I think these 3 top teams are kind of scary, so you don't want to be picked against one of them, maybe. So try to demonstrate that, hey, put forward a resounding effort that deters you from having to face down one of the big dogs in the first round. Cao?
Yeah, just kind of proving us right a little bit going into the latter half of the season. Picking up the win against Carvanha, a nice win against Scizors, exploiting the holes that you needed to. That was a pretty nasty crit with the Lycanroc on the Annihilate, gotta admit. But played well overall, especially in the latter half of the season. Going into the last time we spoke about this team, we were pretty high on it. We noted that the win was strong and the losses were not they were not really blowouts or anything like that. It was all kept close, good play, and you kind of held your own against a lot of the teams that you faced. Going into the week 6, kind of just scroll over that. Week 7, you picked it up really nice, and then going into week 8, you have the you got to hold your own against a hungry dog, because the most dangerous kind of animal is one that's hungry or is pregnant, and Glasgow is both hungry and pregnant, which is not a combination that you want to see. So hopefully you can prevent this animal from giving birth. We'll see if that can happen, but I believe that Norwalk has the capability to maintain their position and possibly increase their standing going into the this postseason.
Now, you said proving us right. I do want to point out that we were freaking out after, as the power rankings for the preseason were coming out, because we had Snowpoint City at 2 and Norwalk at last, and Norwalk pulled out a win first week. So in actuality, Norwalk has been proving us wrong all season.
Well, I believe in you. I believe in you, Noah.
People can change. People change.
Is this the team that's played Erie? This is the team that's played Erie the closest all season. Adelaide and Norwalk each picked up, only lost 2-0 to one of our undefeated teams. Norwalk's scary. Norwalk's really good. I think
PBO vet.
When we were first PBO vet. I think when we were first doing the power rankings, we were looking at the team and it was like, this is a little bit weird. The Iron Bundle. I know Don isn't a huge believer in the non-Terra Enam. I like it. And here Norwalk is pretty comfortably in that kind of second tier of teams. Really impressive. I feel like if you're going into a Norwalk game, you're like, okay, this is going to be a good game. So I'm excited to see them in playoffs. I'd really like to see them pull off an upset win. I feel like that would be really exciting. Great content.
He's a vet, and I know he's confident in himself. When he lost to Erie, I remember vaguely him saying I won't lose again to you. I remember that. So Norwalk is very high on himself and very confident in his play.
Number 4 team is the Adelaide Scizors. This is our last team in the power rankings before we get to our top 3. Adelaide did give a forfeit in week 6 and then took a pretty definitive 5-0 win over Lyrics in week 7, a potential first round playoff opponent. And then going into the final week, Adelaide is going against the New York Nickits, the number 3 team on our list. I like how you've jerry-rigged this the schedule soaring, where you
Thank you.
have the top 2 teams play week 8, and then the 3 and the 4 play week 8.
Yeah, I
it
just had a
really gives
feeling.
like a
Mm-hmm.
yeah. You just had a feeling.
Yeah. I knew Collector's my dad, so I knew he was good.
Like we look at this 4-3 record. That's like with a forfeit win as well. I think all season we've looked at Adelaide as our number 4 team, with potential to kind of punch up. Has Adelaide? Hold on, I'm going through my strength of schedule.
I also told Adelaide to forfeit to Norwalk for this reason. Also, I did that too.
Oh, to fit your narrative.
Yeah, I mean, I need something to go right, you know.
Played Erie and lost only 2-0 in week 5, so this is going to be their second hardest match of the season against Caleb in week 8. Show us what you can bring. Show us what you got. Nothing to lose in this matchup. I wouldn't be shocked if in these 2 games that we're going to be talking about next, Adelaide versus New York and then Kowtow versus Erie, if the coaches don't bring like their best stuff, I'd like to see some punches thrown. A little bit of a psychic or a mental advantage going into playoffs. Kowtow?
Yeah, I think this is one of the more intriguing matchups. We really did get a really nice slate of games going into week 8. Will mentioned that, but this matchup, this team's always just a matchup problem. Just never really know what the plan is going in, unless there's just some hardcore stopping gap that the opponent somehow has for this team. But especially in the Nickits case, it's going to be another battle of weather, similar to the Pittsburgh and the Gotham matchup. We'll see who can prevail out of this, but I do think if I had to give a lean, I'd probably lean Scizors here, 30 Scizors. I just think that there's a lot more offensive pieces that can be brought, and if New York just kind of preps for the wrong team and then they're faced with something that they didn't really put as much time and energy into, it's going to be kind of an uphill battle for them. So we'll see if that's going to be the case going in, or as you mentioned, if we're going to kind of save our best for last and end up not seeing each other in playoffs. So we'll see what happens here.
Just to jump to this matchup from New York's perspective, our number 3 team, the New York Nickits, 6-1 plus 22. This will actually be Caleb's first match this season against a team that has a positive differential. Has had just numbers wise, not talking about the strength of the coaches or the teams, but just looking at the kind of current records of the teams. Caleb has had the easiest schedule of anyone in Crystal, and possibly you can make the argument for the PBO. Don't want to, as someone who has taken losses from players all over the leaderboard, don't want to kind of stick your nose up and like, oh, well, they only beat teams that like were losing. Taking care of business. Caleb has been taking care of business all season. I would almost expect Caleb to be a bit excited for this matchup against Adelaide, trying to see like, well, you know, I've been going up against these teams, and I feel like I've been playing really well. I'd expect Caleb to bring some interesting stuff, to throw a few punches. I wouldn't be shocked if this is we get a playoff rematch of this later. I think the mental advantage is pretty significant. Thorin, Kowtow, do you have any kind of thoughts or commentary on the mental advantage going into playoffs? Not specific to this team, but just in your own experiences.
I will say, just be ready to see some weird things, especially against somebody you've already faced before, because you never know what somebody might think can be good going into your team. What you think might be good into your team, somebody may see quite the opposite. So I would caution you and just say, try not to overthink it, but try and see lines that may not be quite as obvious. Because if you just get second opinions, try and see, always try and improve. because if you go in stagnant into this last set of games, it might be a rough set going into the postseason for you. I will note, did try and warn you against Gotham. Not gonna toot my own horn a little bit, but I did try and warn you it would be a tough matchup. But overall, the season has been pretty successful for you to this point. Nothing to be ashamed of. Actually, a lot to be proud of. In fact, that's probably the better way to put that. Very much a lot to be proud of going into the postseason here, and hopefully we'll see some New York magic.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely proud. One of the best seasons across all the PBO. Sorry.
Yeah, if I'm Adelaide, I am what? I'm 4-3 +8, and I'm basically guaranteed in, right?
Yeah,
if I'm Adelaide,
guaranteed in.
Look, like, do I care about winning this game? Do I really try? I can't pass Caleb. Caleb ends 6-2. I end 5-3. I'm not playing for seeding. I'm playing to get chosen. And if Caleb let's say Caleb beats Adelaide, and then he wants to play Adelaide again after beating Adelaide. If I'm Adelaide, do I bring the real sets? Some people may look down on that, but some people don't bring the real sets till playoffs, expecting a rematch, and everyone has their own way to do that. Like, do I care about this final game? I'm against number 3. Do I really care?
On that note,
do I want
will
the
say
diff?
The format that we have, I do think it's not at all the right way to go about it in the format that we have, where people can choose who to go up against.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's absolutely no guarantee that you will see somebody going into the postseason.
I agree with you,
and
Kowtow.
if you want to save it,
Yep.
by all means. But what you could have invested in taking the position, you may not pass Caleb, but you still have potential of dropping behind someone else. Whereas you could pick somebody who could be a better matchup for you, or somebody who might just not have the pieces to contend with you. So I do think the sentiment of like saving your best for the matchup that may never come is a bit silly.
Everyone's got their way, and Kowtow, I'm with you. But I'm not a player, so I may not understand. So, Jarv, what do you think about what I said about Adelaide? What's your stance on the saving sets and hiding the power level? Just in general, not for this matchup, just as a general statement.
I think I'm a bad person to ask this question to. I feel like when I go into matches, I try to remake the wheel too much. I don't know. I'm not a good person for this. And just to respond to Kowtow's commentary on, not going straight forward, plays the 5 seed, 3 plays the 16, instead allowing the top 4 to pick their opponents. I think that on the one hand, you could make it in a way where like it accentuates like personal rivalry. On the other, I think it's undeniable that you can sometimes get these matchup fishes. When we get our first run playoff matchups, I think it'll be interesting to see what sticks out. Because there might be something where like, oh, well, of course this person picked this person because of XYZ. Maybe that's something that the player can take advantage of. If like you full commit to setting up in front of a specific mon, and then there's an item or there's a move to kind of turn the tables. I don't know. I don't know enough to have an opinion. Maybe we can. Maybe you can bring up that topic on one of the other power rankings with some of the more experienced people. Sorry.
Smite. Number 2.
Our number 2 team,
Number 2.
Mr. Kowtow. Kowtow, how do you feel about this season?
Good.
Good?
Good.
Job not done?
Job's not done. Job's never finished.
Last 2 weeks, Kowtow played Aiden 4-0, and then played Pittsburgh, another 4-0. I've never had an undefeated season. I've never had the level of consistency that that Kowtow's had up to this point. Again, like these top three teams especially have had some of the best seasons across all of the PBO. And the fact that they've all done it in one division is kind of crazy.
Kind of scary how good they are.
Soaring definitely did not rig for these two, Kowtow and Klecker, to face off in week 8. I think for a while people have looked at Crystal and kind of been like, what is this division? Because it does have a lot of those qualities of both Neon being a bit messy and of Sunset where everything's like kind of tooth and nail. And then these two players have stood out. So I think there are going to be a lot of eyes on this match to see what you and Klecker bring forward. I don't know if you're going to bring real teams. I would kind of expect Klecker to, unless he like full throws and just brings like almost like a meme team. Because I think Klecker's team has like 1 or 2 serious modes and is playing around that Aloe. I don't know. I don't know how much you thought about the matchup or what your feeling is going into week 8, let alone playoffs. But I'm excited to see what this comes out. I don't know if we'll make it match of the week because we do have other matches that have more ramifications for playoffs and for relegation. But this will definitely be the one to watch, just from like a personal, and I think from many of the other divisions, they're going to be watching this matchup.
I will also like to give flowers to both Kowtow and Klecker going into week 8, as it is week 7, and they have both entered the record book unofficially. Once the season ends, it'll officially be in, but once week 8 ends, they'll go in. Kowtow, Klecker is now second in best differential ever in PBO at plus 25 going into week 8, and Kowtow has tied the faded Kuma Season 5 season with Chien Pao and Mary Season 6 season at plus 24. So tied third. That is insane that 2 players have done it in the same div, like Jarv just said. Just, at least the season will be remembered at the very end of the day. But
yeah, there can only be one.
Give the flowers up where they needed to.
Kowtow, any kind of final words either on yourself or on Klecker as our number 1 team going into playoffs?
Yeah, I think we could just transition into Klecker here. Just a great season overall. Handle business doesn't really do it justice for what you've been able to do early on. You've impressed with good wins over some good teams. Kept it close with Norwalk. Was able to pull through there, and then just kind of got on easy streak going into the middle half of the season. Week 5, got a nice win against Adelaide. Kind of cemented yourself as one of the best teams in the league, and then just kind of did what you were supposed to do against Long Island. And then we didn't really get to see anything from week 7, which is unfortunate because it was one of the more curious matchups, especially in the second half of the season. But I'm really anticipating this match. I think it'll be fun going into week 8. But regardless of what does happen, I think it will be fun to see the results of this upcoming postseason from both of us.
Soaring, any final thoughts or activities you want us to do?
For Klecker?
No, I mean in general.
Going into week 8, this is well, let's talk about Klecker first. Klecker reminds me right now as this kind of blasphemous team. Not actually being blasphemous as a Blacephalon, which is a compliment. Like I said, I don't know Mon's too great, but he has, well, actually, I just looked at it for one more second. It's a really great team. People dog on the Aloe. Yuxi's defensive. Conkeldurrs there. He's come to a game. We haven't seen Toxtricity yet. It's the Terra,
Conkeldurrs got a kill.
But Conkeldurrs killed too. Terra Toxtricity, that's tough because Lando, Teen, Ursula, Rapid Strike are always fighting for that Terra spot anyway. So why would Toxtricity even come to a game and like grab that? We've seen in the past where Zero Mon comes to 0 times in the regular season, comes in the postseason, pops off. just hats off to Klecker. All I knew in the preseason was I loved your logo, and I was excited to see it in a video. And now you are 7-0 plus 25, and I also will shout you out for trying to play with Walt. You did try multiple times. You said we can try squeeze you in, and Walt was like, just take the win, dude. So shouts out to that. But I don't think I can quite talk on. Just there will be. I always do give a little feedback video and not a feedback video, but a shouts out, remembrance, not remembrance. I do a video thanking everyone, but to Crystal from me going into week 8. Thank you everyone who played. Whether you I don't think we had any drops, right? No drops in Crystal. No drops in Crystal. That's amazing for being a brand new div. Being as, like Jorf said, wacky. Not it's not negative. Wacky as Neon. As competitive as Sunset. I mean, Aiden is 4-3 -4, and some guy Adelaide's 4-3 +8. So it's really however you want to take that. It's just been amazing to see a new div. It's been a while since we've seen a new div since Sunset. Every 3 seasons, it's a joke. We had a new one. So thank you, Crystal. Thank you everyone who played. Scheduled your games, got them in game times. And a lot of you are new. And I hope that all of you that, whether demote, promo, or just played, I hope to see you all back next season, more importantly. A lot of faces I want to see come back. I just want to thank y'all for making it really easy. No drops. Shouts out, Crystal.
All right.
That's it?
I thought that was your sign-off.
Is that the sign-off?
I thought that was the sign-off.
Thank you, Crystal. We will see all of you. Well, I won't see y'all for quarters, but I'll see all of the Crystal players in semis and finals. Cat, any last words?
No, just good luck to everybody.
Good luck, everyone. And remember, schedule your games, put them in game times. And look out for the awards.